My sister-in-law said her wedding mattered more than my traumatized kid, and she expected my husband to abandon him. I was standing in the kitchen when my husband walked in, holding his phone, looking like he'd just been slapped. He goes, "She wants me there for 4 nights, non-negotiable." And my stomach dropped. Our son is 8, sweet, scared, traumatized in ways most adults couldn't survive. Every night he wakes up screaming. Every night my husband holds him until he stops shaking. If my husband leaves, my son falls apart. We learned that the hard way. 3 days last year. 3. By day 2 he was breaking down so badly my husband caught a flight home early. He walked in the door and our kid collapsed into him, shaking like he'd been drowning. So when his sister announced this big destination wedding in another country back in December, we were honest. We said, "We can't afford 4 flights." She said fine. She at least needed her brother there. My husband told her he'd try. She said, "He'll be fine without you for 4 nights. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal." Meanwhile, every night my son is clinging to my husband like he's the only safe place in the world. Still, we gave it time. Months. Therapists, psychiatrists, everyone working together. There's progress, but it's slow, fragile. One wrong move and everything cracks again. Then the wedding got closer. My husband finally told her, "I can't leave him. Not yet." She exploded. "Stop putting your kids above everything. You have to live your life too." He tried explaining. Tried telling her it's not just kids. It's trauma. It's survival. It's a little boy terrified of the dark because the dark used to mean danger, but she wouldn't listen. So she came to me. She knocked on my door like the world owed her something, walked in dramatic as hell, tossed her purse on the couch, and just stared at me like I was the problem. She goes, "Talk some sense into him. I need him there. I need my brother." I stayed calm. I said, "We can't afford 4 tickets, and he can't leave our son right now." She rolled her eyes so hard it was almost comical. "It's not my fault you didn't want to spend the money." I felt my jaw clench. "We couldn't spend the money," I said. "It's a lot, even for one person." She stepped closer. "You're coddling him," she snapped. "You're acting like he's made of glass." I laughed once, not because it was funny, but because it was insane. "You remember what your brother went through when your parents adopted him?" She scoffed. "He wasn't like that, and he turned out fine without being held like a baby every night." I stared at her. "He wasn't like that. Her brother cried himself to sleep for years. He jumped at loud noises well into adulthood. He hides his panic attacks in the bathroom so no one sees. But sure, he wasn't like that." She crossed her arms. "My wedding is a once-in-a-lifetime event, and I don't know what snapped in me, but something did." "Yeah," I said quietly. "And our kids are more important than your destination wedding." She froze. Her face twisted like she'd just been slapped. "You arrogant." I stepped closer. "No, what's arrogant is thinking a scared little boy should be shoved aside because you want pretty pictures on a beach." She pointed a trembling finger at me. "You better fix this. He will be there." I smiled, but not nicely. "He won't." That's when she screamed, like full volume. Red face, spit flying, a whole tantrum stomping, pacing, swearing, throwing her hands in the air like she was performing for a crowd. Then she tried the guilt trip. "You're ruining my wedding. Do you know how embarrassing this is? Everyone expects him there." I shrugged. "Maybe pick a wedding your family can actually attend." She gasped like she'd been stabbed. "You beach!" I leaned in. "You came into my home, insulted my husband, insulted our child, and you expect me to bow down because you want a pretty aisle walk? No, you don't get to talk about my son like that. Ever." She grabbed her purse, spun on her heel, and stormed toward the door. But then, of course, she had to turn around for one last jab. "You're going to make him choose between me and some broken kid who isn't even his real—" I didn't let her finish. "Say that again," I said quietly. She swallowed hard. She looked at the floor. I walked her to the doorway, opened the door for her, and right before she stepped out, I said, "He already chose. The moment you tried to pit him against his son." She didn't say a word, didn't look back. She just walked away. And that's when my husband, who'd been standing silently in the hall listening to all of it, wrapped his arm around me. He whispered, "Thank you." I whispered back, "She's not taking you away from him." He nodded, looked toward our son's room, and said, "She never will." And that's where it ended, her standing outside seething, and us standing inside choosing our kid over her fantasy wedding.